Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. When Fate Sparks Vengeance. Episode 6. Chapter 84. The Microphone. Hurrying to my feet, I rush into his arms. "I got you, Lila," he says, his voice echoing from the microphone. "I think you need to take that off." Completely agreeing with him, I pull it off my ear. "Ruby, Ruby," Madame Vaughn calls out. Ruby lies lifeless on the ground with two other people who have been badly bruised. "It's over," I told her, checking on Ride and brushing him up. His body temperature is high and he is still unconscious. 20 years, Lila. It took us 20 long years to build our empire, while healing from scars because of the years I lived in pain and misery, due to bad leaders. The whole system is corrupt. Why does the moon goddess decide who is in power and who shouldn't? I didn't give up all those years. I won't do so easily now." She picks up Ruby's gun, but instead of firing at us, she fires past us, hitting a device attached to the wall. Everywhere flashes red, then an alarm sounds through the air. "No, Lila, it's not over for me." She rises to her feet. "It is for you. Come now, my minions, show them what happens when you mess with Madame Von Grey," she orders. A hidden door breaks down and wolves start walking out, built up in half-human and werewolf form. "Lila," Dimitri says, pulling me to his side. They were at least a dozen with bloodthirsty looks and salivating mouths. One leaps in the air. Dimitri shoots at him. He slams back, but only for a second, rising back up looking more furious and savage. Holding my hands tightly, he drags me as we rush past Madame Von Grey, Richard, and Nixon, holding them back behind us. We enter the dark, cold room. Dimitri places me by the side of the shelf. "I'll be back," he says simply, returning to go fight with these beasts. The exchange is noisy as guns are fired and screams ripple through the air. Scared, I crouch low, digging my ears deeply, trying to block out the chaos. "Ah!" I scream as a body crashes by the side of the shelf. He looks in my direction with dark eyes, crawling my way, stepping away from the shelf. I knock it on him but still see him judder underneath. I scour the room looking for some sort of weapon on a table that's covered in files and a laptop. Opening the laptop, there is a document labeled serum. The grunts grow louder as he breaks free from the confinement of the shelf, picking up the laptop. I pull out the side and toss the laptop on him, running away. Dimitri comes to my rescue, shooting the wolf multiple times in the face, then pulls me away. "Lila, you brought this upon yourself," Madame Von shouts, holding one of the guys in her hands. Using a knife, she slits his throat open and laughs. I look away from the horrible scene when I spot her child. The little girl is crying, watching her mom kill. "Lily, sweetie, please come here," Madame Von calls her daughter with hands looking heartbroken. "This is the last explosive," Dimitri says about tossing it, but I push his hand, disrupting his aim. He looks at me puzzled, then I point to the child who's staring at her mother in horror. Dimitri tries to get her, but Madame Von's warriors don't let him, blast rapidly toward the child. "Stop!" she yells, but her robots don't listen. They are going to kill Lily if this continues. The little girl is frightened, holding her ear, screaming and crying. "Stop!" I hear Madame Von shout once more, but it is futile. So far no bullet has touched her. Madame Von runs like the selfless mother she is, and they all fire at her before she can reach the child. She slumps on her knees, reaching out her hand, not able to meet her daughter. Bracing myself, I run towards her, carrying her away from the shooting. Seeing the opportunity, Dimitri fires at the bomb and it explodes. Lily shouts, shivering underneath my arms. The small girl coughs while wiping her tears away. Through her sobs is the stillness that the wolves are no longer shooting. "Mummy," she cries, struggling out of my grip to go meet her mother. She escapes easily to meet her mother, Madame Von Grey, bleeding, but she isn't quite dead. "Lily," she whispers with shaking hands, holding her child's face. "This is your vision of utopia, packs of mindless wolves and unstable experiments, Things have always been bad because people like you exist. Instead of making a difference, you use your power and money in enforcing things that shouldn't be. It's a shame your daughter had to witness her mother following the same path you desperately wanted to change." Madame von Grey closes her eyes and then opens them once more in bitter regret. "I have done a lot of damage in 20 years, it's too late now. Lila, you have 5 minutes to move out of this place. Please take her along with you," she whimpers. "Lily, I wanted the best for you, nothing but that. I'm sorry," she mutters her last words and her hand drops. "Mummy!" The girl screams in agony, crying on her mother's corpse. Madame Von lost her life today at the expense of her child. So young she had to witness the cruelty of the world, knowing her mother played a major role in it, and witnessing the death of her mother in her own arms, something that left its mark on me. What does she mean we have 5 minutes? Richard or Nixon asks. Dmitri walks closer, crouching low, observing her body pick anything from the ground. "It's a detonator!" he yells, displaying it, counting down, 4 minutes and 30 seconds. In response, I run back into the room to find Ride. He's covered in dirt and I can feel him breathing. He's alive! I yell at Dmitri as he walks in with Lily in his hand. The little girl is sobbing quietly. "Lila, you hold her, let's get out of her." With the help of Richard or Nixon, they carry Ride and we walk out of the hole they created, passing the bodies of wolves that Madame Von wasted. People with families, loved ones, a pack and a home, all vanished because of the selfishness of the crown. Ride is placed at the back of Dmitri's car with no sign of waking up. As we drive past, a huge explosion is heard from a distance. Lily flinches on my lap, hugging me in tears. I look at Dmitri, who just glazes his hand through his hair. He looks paranoid but hurt. All hope of finding Ella dies in that sound. Trying to comfort him, I place my hand in his lap. He looks at me with a small smile. "We'll stay at the beach house at least to get Ride checked in and ensure he's all right," he says weakly. "Here, found this," I say, giving him the modem I pulled from the laptop. He picks it up, staring at it emotionlessly. "I'll check it out," he replies. I give a nod, rubbing Lily's shoulders. The poor girl must be traumatic. At this point, the sweet image of her mum is tarnished and she has no home. Her father has never been mentioned. How is she going to cope with this new change? As we drive to the fortress of the beach house, Lily is fast asleep, so I carry her into the house. Dmitri follows behind. It is a lovely place surrounded by forest vegetation and has a warm atmosphere. Taking her inside, I lay her on the couch as I proceed to find the bathroom. I climb up the stairs looking for one. I knock on the first door. When Dmitri opens up, he's on the phone muttering a few words. He ends the conversation and then heads toward me. "Bathroom," I whisper, stopping myself from lowering my gaze to his body. "You can use mine," he says, pointing at the door, picking up his shirt, pulling it on swiftly and exciting the room. I step into the bathroom, strip off the clothes and turn on the shower, staying underneath it, letting it wash away the blood stains and makeup I had on. After taking a bath, I grab a towel from the shelves, looking at my reflection, the fake skin still attached and the contact lens. Having no idea how to remove them, I let it slide. It can be done later. My blonde hair gawks so foreign. I've drifted from so many identities. I've forgotten the color of my brown eyes and the orange color of my hair. The girl who wore simple dresses and finds joy in little things, who has always been fighting all her life. I also realize I have nothing to wear, leaving the room with the towel. I head to the closet that has a few clothes, a strat pants and a t-shirt. With a small knock, Dmitri walks in holding dresses. The perfect gentleman already thought about my clothing. Ride is in the next room under medical attention. Lily is sleeping and the ladies are here for your look. That's if you want to change back, he says, leaving the dress on the bed. "Yes please, I'll love that." "All right, I'll send them in," there's something to eat in the kitchen and if you need anything do not hesitate to ask. Thank you, I say with a smile. He nods and leaves. There are 2 dresses on the bed, the green flowery one grabs my attention. I know it will fit perfectly. The ladies step in, accepting my decision. They wash off the dye bringing back my natural color, remove the extra skin and face tap and I become the simple Lila Ink Nu. Thanking the ladies I walk out of the room in search of Dimitri. He sits on the couch holding Lily and playing something on his laptop. That manages to get the small girl to smile. Climbing down the stairs, Dimitri smiled glistening as he soaks in my look. I don't know, I kinda miss Dap, he teases, which makes me laugh. Rising slowly from the couch he approaches me, leading me to the kitchen so we can speak in private. I just reviewed the files on the modem, it doesn't say much, I'll send it out for proper research, to see if there's something I missed, but one thing is certain, Lila, this is only the beginning, he says, pouring coffee in 2 mugs, filling it to the brim. He hands one to me. Thank you, I whispered while taking a sip. Never for a second did I feel this was the end of the Crown. Madame Vaughn gave insights that the Crown still has other members. What did you find? I asked curiously. A location where 1,000 boxes of the serum has been shipped, 1,000, so many to conquer everyone in their pack. With Madame Von Grey gone, they'll need time to recover. The operations of the Crown can hold for a while. I still have unfinished business with Riley. I'm sure you already have your plans on what to do, Dimitri. I need to return to the pack, I disclose. I understand, he says, stepping forward. You sure you don't want to head back as Daphne? Stay undercover till you can figure out what is wrong with Kieran. There's nothing wrong with Kieran, Lila is enough. I have been trying to kill her for a while. Changing from Angel to Daphne, I need to embrace Lila once more, the girl who isn't perfect. At times we want to run away from ourselves, change to someone who we are not, but that's it, we aren't these people no matter how hard we try, I say, staring. I've been in denial for a while now. To be fair, I love all sides of you, Dimitri says, trying to lighten up the mood. I go with the flow, beaming up at him. How's Ride? He'll have to go to the hospital for proper care, but you don't have to worry about him. I'll take care of things here. You do what you have to do. If his condition worsens, ensure I'm the first to know. Yes ma'am, he jokes. I'll grab my keys. You have to eat something, it is a long drive. After a quick brunch I check on Ride, tell Lily goodbye, then we head back to the pack house. The whole drive I'm anxious, squirming in my seat, uneasy, trying to extrapolate what to say or do. When I reach him, the main road to the pack house comes into view, then my heart hammers within. I fear Dimitri might hear my heartbeat. Hey, he says, holding my hands that were fumbling with my dress. I look up at him, a sad sigh escapes my lips. You're overthinking it, trust me it will be fine, Dimitri exhorts. I don't answer, rubbing my temples. He's right, I'm just being paranoid. I got you something while you were away, he says, pulling out a box. I raise a brow at him, taking the gift. It's shaped like a rectangle. Jewelry is my first guess, or a watch, which I've never worn. Well, you won't know what it is till you open it, he says, chuckling. Ripping the paper wrap, I look at him astonished. It's a phone. To keep in touch, you know, and don't bother returning it. I won't let you go till you take it, Dimitri says, compelling me to laugh at him being able to predict my actions. Like I would, I've always wanted one. I lie, smiling at him. Yeah, my number has been added, I'll be sure to call. I'm expecting one, I reply, exploring its contents. Parking in a good spot, he turns off the ignition and peers at me. Honestly, I haven't appreciated you enough, I say, overwhelmed. From day one he has always got my back and risked his life multiple times to save mine, a friendship I'll love to keep forever. Nah, it's nothing, I should head back. Goodbye Lila, he says, hugging me. Goodbye, Dimitri, thank you so much. Opening the car door, I step out of the car and into the house. Kieran's scent leads me to his room. So glad I didn't encounter Riley. I open the door with no expectations or plan. If our love is true, there is no need for me to prove it. He is standing near the window, dressed in a striped shirt and jeans. You have some nerve to be here. His voice is soft and challenging. I gulp in stepping forward, then he inclines his head in my direction, his long blonde hair left loosely touching his nape. This is where I belong, I say strongly. He smiles viciously, turning around, his eyes neutral but flickers when he looks at me. For a moment he stares at me, stunned by blinking back and giving a little cough. Your trickery won't work on me anymore, he says, retaining his serenity. If I am indeed a witch, why don't you get me killed, I say, taking a bold forward. He looks at my leg slowly, then up my face, a sensual threat. I decided to show compassion, thinking you had the sense to leave, but like all gold diggers you're back, he says, irked. Hide it all you want, I'm certain you know I'm no witch, I am your mate. He chuckles lightly, dropping papers at the window aisle and crossing his hands. I have no desire to see or speak with you, Lila. I feel no attraction whatsoever. In fact, I'm disgusted standing in the same room with you, and you dare utter I am the mate of a traitor and slave. Tch. He scoffs, trying to hurt me. He is succeeding, but I remind myself it's the influence of the serum making him say these venomous words. You feel no desire, I say softly, stepping forward. What sick trick do you plan on executing this time? He says, daring me. If I disgust you so much, what I do doesn't bother you, I say, striding closer. I could never care less, or if another man touches me. I notice his eyes harden and muscles tense, but still he doesn't break. A whore has no bounds, he says, clenching his jaw. You wouldn't mind if I'm getting over and over and over by someone else, I say, trailing my fingers on his abs. As I'm about to touch his face, he grips my hand mid-air. You do that and stay out of my business, he tone waving as he fights for control. Leaning to his face, I whisper, Dmitri has my legs spread. Do you know how close to your demise you are, you asterisk? He roars, twisting my arm and pinning me to the window. Admit it, Kieran, I am your mate. You belong with me because you can doesn't mean you should against me. Lila, why don't you make me stop? I say weakly, my body quivering underneath him. You've been a naughty girl, he whispers in my ears, glazing his tongue on my earlobe, sending tingles down my spine. Releasing me from his grip, he places my palm on the window. Hold still, he orders, and my body burns in anticipation. Swiftly glides his hand down on me, cupping me possessively, then raises my gown. You pretty little monster, he says. I groan, slumping down as he plugs into me without warning. You like that, he says, twisting his fingers. Ugh, I mumble breathlessly. You naughty girl, he says, dragging me away from the window and tossing me on the bed. Spread your legs wide, baby, he orders with hungry eyes. I quickly obey, opening up to him. You're so beautiful, my Lila, he says. Oh baby, I'm not done with you yet. Tell me what you want. His voice was raw. I turn pink, looking away, compelled by the need for him. I whisper, I want you, Kieran. No, no, he says, holding my face and holding eye contact while tracing his fingers on my bottom lip. Tell me your dirtiest fantasies, everything you want. I want to know everything, he says via mind link, the connection making us more intimate. I want you, Kieran, so much. Give me everything you have and more. Let go of every ounce of control. Show me how to please you, Kieran. Don't make me wait anymore, I reply, looking at him directly. Naughty girl, he chuckles. Oh baby. Yes. Kieran. I scream, holding his shoulders as he doesn't stop holding me firmly. He kisses me aggressively. This man showed me a small piece of heaven. Taking deep breaths, we stay in that position for a while, staring at one another with love. He eases out of me slowly, wrapping his arms around me and covering me on the sheets. I've missed you, Lila, he says like a child. Oh really, you were just about to kick me out, I remarked, taking in his beautiful face. You know, past the effect of the drug I always felt lonely, and always knew something was missing, and now I've found it. I don't ever want to let it go, he says, snuggling me harder. Do you remember who drugged you? I know it's Riley, but she was never in the room, and why would Kieran let the doctor do that to him? It's all a daze, I must admit. My memories are in turmoil, but I still remember some conversations I had with Madame von Grey and my father. They openly discussed plans. I know my father isn't in the crowd, but maybe he's involved somehow, Kieran narrates in puzzlement. I'm tempted to remove all forms of doubt from my mind. If Kieran comes to know his father is part of the Crown, will he be able to punish him for his crimes? You can discover more about the Crown if they believe you're still under the serum. They'll be able to expose their plans. I don't think I can pull that off. My father isn't stupid, he'll know the moment I look up at you, he says, staring at me directly in the eyes in awe. Well, there's one thing for certain, he doesn't approve of me. Shhh, he shushes. My father has no say, right whatsoever in our affairs. He can try as many times as he wants, but you're still mine and I'm still yours, he says, kissing me in slow motion. We are disrupted by the sound kg ringing coming from the floor. Kieran pulls away, his brow furrowed, confused. It must have fallen when Kieran pulled me. That's mine, I say, laughing. Yours, he says, raising a brow, not letting me leave. Yes, Dimitri got it for me. It's scary how in a split second he goes from sweet to withdrawn with just the mention of Dimitri. Why? He questions, holding me so tight I feel my rib crack. Let go, I yelp, shoving him, realizing he let go. Sorry, he mouths, rising at the same time I do. To inform me about things without having to drive around, I defend. I love the gift. Well, that's very thoughtful of him, at least to keep him away. I roll my eyes, stepping out of the bed with no clothes on. I pick up the phone where it chimes on the ground. Who is it? Kieran asks. It's Dimitri, I reply, not like I was expecting anyone else. No, you don't answer that, Kieran warns, raising his finger, but I already did. Hello, Dimitri, I said to the receiver, smiling at the sad pout Kieran gives. Lila, I'm at the Pax hospital. Ride has been admitted and he's not looking so good. He's dying slowly. You need to come over, he explains in a worried tone. I freeze on the spot, goosebumps flare on my skin. I'll be there soon, I reply in fret. Lila, what's wrong? Kieran asks, leaving the bed and noticing my reaction. Ride is dying, I reply, picking up my dress. I'll drive you, Kieran says, but I stop him. No, I can walk there. If you're seen with me, our cover will be blown and have no leads on the Crown. Tugging on the dress, I hope he makes it easy. Kieran is stubborn at times. At the detriment of your friend, you still choose to prioritize the Crown's affairs, he questions, astonished. It is the Crown that got him in the mess in the first place. If they never existed, he would be fine. I'm done reasoning with you. Do as you please, he says, returning to the bed. Kieran, I begin to say, but he silences me by raising his hand. Ride needs you. I'll handle the matters here, he says coldly, not meeting my eyes. If only he could see what I do, and understand why it's essential to eradicate every member, but now is not the time. I'll be back, I promise, to head to the door. You are banned regardless of your hair color, Lila, he says in a vile tone. Let me go, I yell, struggling out of his grip. Why don't you let my son go? You've done nothing but cause problems and endangered him. Thanks for your concern, Lord Blackwood, but I think Kieran can fend for himself. He's a big boy. He shoves me roughly in front of him. You're playing a dangerous game, Lila, and we want no part of it. The moon goddess never makes mistakes. She's the one that sealed my fate with Kieran, but she also gave us a choice to change that. Unfortunately, if my son had any brains, he would have rejected you the first day he found out you were his mate. I almost laugh at the fact that Kieran did reject me and only started acting right because of his jealousy. You know, I believe you're a witch. You've somehow managed to entice Kieran. He doesn't think clearly. If you love him the way you proclaim, you'll leave him. Did you leave my mother? I say, a bit disgusted, hating I'm using it to drive my point. How dare you? He dares quietly, eyes void of emotion. You never did, so you went ahead to kill my father. I know we've been grazing around the truth for a while. It's time to face the facts. Lila, you have no right to say that. I have no hand whatsoever in what happened years ago, he said, looking away. I never expected you to admit to your crimes, but Lord Blackwood, I know you are responsible for it. My mother was found in your house, god damn it. And you're lying, you did nothing. I hate the way my voice breaks as I speak. Yes, Lila, I did nothing. What got him killed is his involvement in the crown. You are repeating history, Lila, and I fear everything I worked for all these years will be ruined by your stupidity. I always knew you'd be the cause of my end. No, Lord Blackwood, your deeds will catch up to you, to everyone you've hurt, to all the blood on your hands, to all the lives that prayed for early death like it's a blessing. That is what will lead you to your demise. It's not my fault I fall under that category. I wish I can say it's not too late, but you are far too gone. I'm sure they are plotting how to avenge Madame von Grey. Why am I shocked by his disclosure? Of course, he is a part of those monsters. I think you should head back to your mansion and take a vacation or something. Try to savor your last days off the record. I never killed her. Her evil deeds caught up to her. Karma is a asterisk. She's knocking on your door, I say, walking past him. I have already wasted enough time conversing with him. They need you, Lila. Your veins hold the power they seek, and trust me when I say you will not be able to survive it. Thanks for your concern, Lord Blackwood. I handle me, you handle yours. I head promptly to the exit. When I arrive at the Pack Hospital, I see Dimitri waiting for me at the entrance. What took you so long? Lord Blackwood, I stop gripping my thighs as I try to breathe. Where's Ride? I question. He pulls my hand, taking me into the hospital wards. In room 54, he pushes the door open. Ride is lying on the bed, looking paler than when I last saw him. Striding to his side, I cup his face but pull back my hand instantly because of his feverish temperature. Dimitri, what's going on? I ask, blinking back tears. I don't know, Lila, he says. At the same time the door opens and a woman steps in wearing a lab coat, the doctor, I presume. Doctor, what's the result? With a sad sigh she sits by the side of Ride, checking his eyes and heartbeat. Not good at all, his condition. I've never seen anything like it, she says in amazement. His condition is derived from an old frog death syndrome. When you dump a frog into a bowl of hot water, it leaps out immediately, but if you place it at a warm temperature and heat it up, the frog stays and gets comfortable till it's too late. Ride is facing this, the acidity if his cell is building rapidly, making his insides turn to molten lava, it etching its way. Now in a few hours he will be dead. No! I scream, hugging Dimitri. How cruel for how to do such a thing. He's literally dying slowly in intense pain. I hope she rots in hell. I've called for another view of his files. I fear it will be too late to find a solution. I'm sorry, but there's nothing we can do, she further adds. I sink into Dimitri's chest, singing quietly. Lila, you can help him, Dimitri says, rubbing my hand. I stare up at him, my vision blurry. What are you saying, Dimitri? I ask, wiping my tears. Remember when I was hurt during the fight with Kieran? That's different. You got injured, he is poisoned. We have no clue what's in the serum and it will just be a waste or make his condition worse. What's the harm in trying? He says, vaguely disappointed. I actually thought you would be screaming the idea once you got here. I rub my elbows, uncertainty. It was once said my blood stabilizes the serum. I'll just be making his condition worse. After all that you are willing to let Ride die, we should have walked away from the start. Richard died in this mission and all those wolves who were abducted, so please Lila, help him. I give a sly nod. He'll definitely need more than a drop, I say wearily. Doctor, please help conduct a blood transfusion. Are you ready for this? The doctor asked, staring into my eyes with contempt. This question sent shivers down my spine, creating a great turmoil in my stomach. Helena sensed my fear and sudden anxiety. She said calmly, don't be scared, you can do it. You'll pull through this. I can't, I'm really scared you can. I know you can. I just hope this isn't something I'll regret in the future. Can we focus on the present and not the future? Alright, good. I would love to save Ride, I can't let him die. I summoned up the courage I could muster and uttered, yes, let's go on with it. Watching the doctor's retreating figure, Dmitri encouraged me with his soft grips on my shoulders. I hoped for the better. Madame Vaughn sacrificed her life and now I solemnly bear the risk to save Ride. The doctor walked back into the room with his instruments to perform his operation. He injected the needle into my wrist's vein, doing the same thing to Ride, who was briskly shutting his eyes. He turned on the transfusion button. I closed my eyes out of fear, feeling my blood flow through a thin medical pipe. I heard the doctor concede, I can see signs of improvement. These words elevated the level of courage, hope and chances I had in mind. I freed myself, for efficient blood transfusion. His eyes are opening, his arms are moving. His bones are straightening. You've done it, Lila. I couldn't hear my name clearly, I felt a shocking purge of pains through my body. I fainted after trying to endure the pain. Lila, you're awake? Doctor, she's awake, Dmitri screamed, running out of the room, probably to call the doctor. It felt so thin, sounds were clearer than ever, happy that the spins had subsided. I smiled watching Ride, who was getting fed by a nurse. I smirked knowing that I saved his life and he was happy to be living again. I watched the doctor walk in, followed by Dmitri. How many hours did I use to rest? Well, it's probably 9 hours. Yep, but you're awake, strong, and healthy, that's all that matters now. I couldn't feel the happiness through his eyes. He was so happy, acting like a child who just felt like he was congratulated by his mother on his latest achievement. I must say you're very strong, Miss Lila. Not many people would succumb to this type of risk and still have the courage to make it out in one piece. You see, doctor, my friend here has been special since birth. So her risk isn't risk but sacrifice, Dmitri chipped in, holding my palm. We'll run some tests on you. Then we'll discharge you. How's Ride? I whimpered. He's all right. Thank you so much, Lila. He'll never forget what you did for him today, I know. But I'm not that special, am I? I smirked, waiting eagerly for his response. He sighed, you're the best type of friend anyone would beg to have. You're more than special, you're a rare gem, and you know that. We both laughed at what he said, then he walked over to check on Ride. I told you. You'll pull through this, Helena conceded to her own words. Thanks, Helena. I helped myself with pain relievers I got from the counter. It really died down my pains. The doctor walked in, changing into a surprised face when he saw me tightening the lace of my boots. How did you manage to get up so quickly? Thanks for the pain relievers you dropped on the counter. I never trusted urban drugs, but this was an exception. It worked on me. What about the test results? The doctor asked, flipping some sheets of paper in the file he was holding. I knew he was actually doing his job, but what's the use of test results when I'm fine? Forget about it, doctor. We'll meet again, doctor, I answered, smiling sheepishly. Or probably not, you'll never see that man again. That's one bet I would make, Helena said, causing me to mock the doctor's words. I know, but that's to help me get the lies to tell his superiors when they ask after me. I replied, okay, that's cool. Where's Lord Blackwood? I asked with bitter enthusiasm. He left, I hissed, wishing he was here to see me. I could picture the shocking look on his face when he sees me and knows that I survived the blood transfusion. He was right after all. What they seek lies in your veins. I can't wait to watch that idiot burn and be punished for all the crimes he committed, I muttered in pure hate. Hey, let's get him home before he gets tired of sitting, I suggested, watching Ride's awful detested movements on the car seats as Dmitri rode through road bumps. Finally we got to the house. Rode shoulders resting on our necks. I stood on the left side while Dmitri was on the other side, and together we helped him walk into the house, through the stairs and into his room. Finally the fear and anxiety had left me. Road would definitely get better as time went on. I really need to see Kieran, I said to myself walking out of the house when I hears Dimitri's voice. Wait up, Lila. I stood outside waiting for him, probably knowing what was on my mind. You're going back to Kieran's house? Well, I'll give you a ride. Why do you want to do that? I inquired, about feeling weird about Dimitri's unannounced taxi mode. Hey, I just feel like it, and I would love to get some clothes from the store. When I drop you off, I'll get the clothes and go, Dmitri explained, and then walked to his car. He opened the door, obliging me to enter, which I did, staring at him weirdly. Why the looks on your face? Dmitri asked me as he turned on the engine. You're acting weird, too weird for me to bypass, I conveyed, wearing a stench of surprise on my face. In that case maybe you'll get used to the new me, he smirked. Okay, I conceded to his words. Kieran's house wasn't much of a distance. The drive was full of silence, just precisely humming to our favorite song. I'm sure that Kieran knows that Dmitri drove me here. Noticing Riley and Shane standing on the balcony brought back the shivers. Hey Riley, take a look at this cheap slut. Riding of two men wouldn't do you good, in fact it'll make you want more, and when there's no left, you'll concede to using almost anything to get over the edge, Shane chipped in. It felt like they were sent to detest every little thing I do, anything precisely that had my name in it. I'm not a, close it up. You're a W*E. A freaking W*E with no gratitude, Shane divulged. Riley mocked me in her indigenous laughter. I hated it that I couldn't find the right words to save myself from the hurtful spikes they spat out. You see what I'm saying? She lacks the words to say. A weakling like you has nothing to say to me. It's of no use wasting my words on you. Shane boldly said these words, forgetting that I saved her life this morning when Lord Blackwood lost his temper. Don't waste them, Shane. Not on this pathetic loss. I was getting tired of these unruly insults. I felt like I gathered enough words to use, just when I was about to use them. Kieran walks outside to stop all the abuse. He watched from the beginning, he waited till it reached its peak. I felt disappointed. Enough. I said, enough. Kieran, what's this supposed to mean? Shane felt irritated about her brother's sudden presence. One more word from you and you'll contend with the other side of me, Kieran roared. I hate it when, Riley chipped in, which made Kieran very angry. Who asked you to speak? Leave my presence now, all of you. Lila, wait, what more would he want now? I asked Helena, maybe he wants to finish off from where they started. I wouldn't wait to listen to his insults. Lila, how's Riley? That question sounded shocking to me. He's good. Getting better, I guess. Come on, what's with the sheepish manner of response? I hate it that I wasn't here to stop all these hurtful words gushing out from my sister and Riley. He hates it, yet he watched it from the beginning and walked in to be a so-called savior, and he thinks he saved me from his sister's verbal attacks. He has real nerves I must say, Helena divulged. Listen to your words. I hate it that I wasn't here to stop all these. Yet you watched it from the beginning. Why couldn't you save me then? I won't lie to you. I took interest in your childishness, mixed with anger, hatred, and disdain. It was so intriguing to watch, so when I realized it was getting out of proportion, I came. If he was to save me from my enemies, he would come when a knife is pinned on my neck. Such an irony, wow! What an interesting story. Take a look at a savior who saves people when it gets out of hand. Well, you'll enjoy watching this childish mixed with whatever you call it face, 'cause it's staying for a while, I nagged in the most shattering way possible, walking my way into the house. Then he pulled me into his arms. You can't do this to me. What do you want from me? I faintly smiled knowing what he wanted, but I needed the words from the horse's mouth. I want you on all fours singing my name when I plunged you, his soft words, singing in my ear. Riley couldn't hold her tears watching Kieran carry me through the stairs. You witch, she let the tears roll down her eyes. I raised both my middle fingers, shoving it in her face. Smiling my way up till I was out of sight. He dropped me on the bed. Don't you worry, okay, now you do the tongue thing, I said, remembering the lines from an aristocratic movie I watched some time ago. With all pleasure, madam. He also watched that movie. Wow, that's not a coincidence. The moon goddess did the right thing placing us together, and I can't be more thankful about it. Maybe Kieran is changing. They say change, it's the only thing constant in life. I hope it's true with Kieran. He's changing from that arrogant, irritating, proud and wicked young man I knew him as. He's becoming jovial, respectful, and calm. Wished his new behavior would last forever and not be a temporary adjustment. My senses returned as his tongue touched me. I'll give you what you want, he said in a seductive tone. How does he know what I want? Definitely love has a way of reading minds. I loved the manner in which his scrotum sack slapped against my cheeks. It tasted a little different than the other times we had. Maybe the change is truly meant to happen in every sphere of his life. I laid in his arms, feeling peace and solace with him. I confessed, notwithstanding how many times I had to say it, I love you, Kieran. Well, that's good, he replied. This response really baffled me. It made feel like I was just being tricked and used for satisfying someone's desires. Is that all you have to say to me? I was really getting angry with him. Wait, what do you want me to say? Oh, I love. The anger in me whirled like wildfire. I chipped into his words. Use that love on Riley, or better still, serve it to the demons. I stood up, wore his best jeans and his favorite color of t-shirt, all matching with my brown boots. I walked out of the room and his house, paying deaf ears to all the voices till I was out of the house. Lord Blackwood was very afraid when he saw me leaving in his son's clothes. I stopped a taxi cab, paid my fare. Kieran met me still wearing his boxers. I was already inside the car. You don't have to do this again. I can't afford to lose you again, he grunted, holding the windows of the taxi cab. I couldn't hide my words anymore. I just let them escape without checking if it was right or wrong. Maybe I'm a whore who has the gratitude. Don't do this to yourself. This is harm, he advised, making a caring face which to me was sole pretense. You have caused me more life-threatening harm than I could imagine. If you want to talk to me, call me. Here's my number, I said as I tapped the driver to start his engine. He held onto the paper, watching us till we were out of sight. The taxi cab alighted in front of Dimitri's house. What's wrong, Lila? Ride smirked. Good to see you stand again, I divulged, trying to make him see that I wasn't ready for any conversation. He understood my words perfectly, hence he just said, good to see you again. I told you, Lila, but you wouldn't listen. Helena sprang up. Let me be, Helena, I cautioned, finding it hard to converse with anyone, including my own wolf. I warned you, save me alone, Helena, I screamed. I stormed into the house, which made Dimitri startle in fear. He was putting Lily to sleep. What's wrong? He understood the change of my countenance. Nothing, I just want to be left alone. Don't bother knocking, cause I won't answer. I darted off to my room. Turning the doorknob, tears rolled down my eyes. I sniveled in sadness. You're hurting yourself. Slumber is the only solution to this, Helena suggested. She was right after all. I needed to rest, I took off my clothes, realizing the strong scent that reminded me of Kieran. I darted off to the bathroom to shower. I had my bath, clad in my red rose, and I slept off. Wake up, you need to eat. How did you get in here? I sighed, stretching my arms, slightly covering my mouth as I yawned out my exhaustion. Have you forgotten the King of Locks? Ride. Ride is the one that opened the door. I said hastily. Ride is truly the King of Locks, escaping from 100 different types of cells. He's truly talented with locks. The Crown didn't even know of the hidden qualities he possessed. What's on the menu? I asked, feeling the royals in my stomach. Your favorite, come see. He pawed his mouth and walked out of the room, probably thinking that I would change my clothes. I knew he had a great view of my body, staring at the bulging size in his trousers he tried to hide. You really needed this rest, Helena chipped in, yet I sure needed it. I feel so fresh, I replied, trying to make myself forget about Kieran's words and the dilemma I passed through with them. Food would be of great help to me, I advised myself as I tied the loose ends of my robe. Finally I get to eat at a dining table. I hadn't eaten in a while and it feels so new that I'll eat my meal sitting on a table. Staring at faces that love me the way I am, not some heinous place that sees me as a maid and nothing else. It feels so good sitting here to eat, I said, feeling fulfilled about this new development. Potato salad and your favorite flavor of ice cream for dessert. Dimitri smiled, knowing precisely everything about me. I ate to my satisfaction, satisfying my stomach, but my heart was unsatisfied and this pained me a lot. I offered to do the chores before leaving for Kieran's house. Hey, can I do the dishes? I asked, twitching my fingers, feeling weird about two able-bodied men allowing me to work in their house. Remember Lila, you're a guest here and ought to be treated as one, which in line doesn't require your help in household chores, Ride sneered. Very odd for me to sit back and watch them do the chores. I watched Ride, used a long tray, and used it to carry everything. A cup fell off the tray. I caught it before it hit the floor. I tried to advise him, take a look at who's talking. You're barely fit to do chores. Remember you just got out of the hospital a few hours ago. That's not true, Ride divulged. He hates when people tell him about being weak. He loved using his strength in every little thing that he did. Dimitri chipped in, holding the plates Lily used. She's right, Ride. You barely just left the hospital and you're doing this. You need rest, we all need rest. Very wise words, I must say. I stood behind his words, backing him up until Dimitri smiled, staring me down. He said, and Lila, what Ride said is also true. Whose side are you on? I chipped in, trying not to feel vulnerable in his house. I'm not picking sides here. The best thing to do now is this: I'll do the dishes while Ride goes to rest, and you, Lila, can go back to Kieran's house before someone gets suspicious. Dimitri was very right in his words. He took time to think before he spoke, and that was why he got out of every situation with ease. The Crown had tried to nab him multiple times. He defends himself at court and always wins. I darted off to my room, remembering that I hadn't washed my clothes. I opened the wardrobe, shocked to see my clothes neatly placed in the wardrobe. I wasn't sure of who did it, but I loved it. I quickly wore my clothes. As I wore my jeans, I felt like someone was watching me. When I turned around, I saw no one. I neatly arranged the robe back in the wardrobe and picked up my phone. 37 missed calls from Kieran. Today's really full for surprises. What do you intend to do? Helena asked in a tensed tone. Nothing precisely. I'll face him and here's what he has to say. That's what I'm talking about. Show him your boldness. Make him feel he made a grave mistake. Not saying the words I love you sure will make him do that, and even more. I'll make him sit on the edge of the seat because the seat would be too hot for him to sit upon. Let's go, can't wait to watch you do all that to him. I ran downstairs to meet Ride and Dimitri. I met Dimitri in the kitchen, arranging the utensils he used to prepare dinner. I'll be leaving, thanks for the laundry, Dimitri, I thanked him. Laundry? Wait, I didn't do the laundry, Dimitri confessed. If you didn't do it, then who did it? I conceded to the fact that definitely Ride did the laundry. Maybe he didn't know how to thank me and used it as a medium. Where's he? I asked after his absence, that maybe he had already gone to bed. I hate disturbing people sleeping cause I feel like I'm spoiling something big. He's probably sleeping on the couch trying to narrate a night tale to Lily. I met him sleeping like a father who loved his child. He felt at peace since he met Lily. Ride never understood the love of family well enough because his father also died along with my father during the fight between the crown and our parents being the indigenous members of the pack. I couldn't summon up the courage to thank him, so I planted a soft kiss on his forehead and did the same for Lily. I darted off to get a taxi cab. I paid my fare. Why do you pay me? The taxi cab driver asked for my money back. I was so shocked that I didn't know what to do next. I thought maybe they were celebrating a trade fair or a bizarre bonanza. My curiosity overtook my sense of self-esteem. So I asked, what's the celebration all about? Ma'am, there's no celebration. What do you mean? I chipped in with my curiosity growing ever that I could imagine someone paid for your kin fare. So I've been assigned to take you anywhere you want. Who would be so callous to do this kind of charade? I have enough money to take care of myself. Maybe it's that silly caller of yours who sees you as a toy. How come I never thought about that? It's definitely Kieran. Only he can pull this stunt and be good with it. I will confront him on this. It's not good to do things without the consent of the other party, I replied, Helena filled with anger, mapping out the words I'll say to him. Kieran was already standing at the front of the gate, probably waiting for me, I guess. Why's he bent on making me forgive me? Which I can but won't, because I hate it when I feel like I've been used by someone, especially when it's in the terms of X. Thank you, I appreciated the driver for making me not to lose my money or anything. Lila, why are you doing this to me? What have I done to deserve this ill treatment from you? This question sounded really weird to me. Watching Kieran soliciting this kind of submissive behavior was very intriguing to me. I stared at him in pretended disgust. You look at me straight to my eyes and tell me you don't know what you did. You cunning bastard, I retorted in fear. I don't even know how the words poured out of my mouth. But I can count how many times I've told you to forgive me for my past sins, he confessed with a faint voice. You call it the past. What we did in the past can determine our present and sometimes even our future, I said, not minding the tone of my voice. But that's if we let it make decisions for us. He tried making his sentences sound more depressing and submissive. What if I've decided to make my decisions with the full aegis of our past? I added with a full replica of disgust. That's absurd. It's not right and you know it, he pleaded. Take a big look at the demon who's speaking about the right things to do. His family members made my life a living hell. I had to endure all of it because of love. Tears flowed down my eyes as I poured out this hot coals from my heart. See who's talking about what's right and what's not. Where was your right spirit when you and your family members tormented my soul, made my life a living hell, made me dine and wine with death? I am really sorry that you had to pass all this through to me and my family. I've realized my mistake and begged you for forgiveness, he pleaded, bringing his knees down to the ground. There's no need for all this charade or this act of innocence. You never knew my worth. You now want me to forgive you and forget the scars you forcibly impaled on my heart. I walked past him, into the yard. He followed me hurriedly. I couldn't wait to listen to his cries and pleas. So I ran with utmost speed, bumping into a servant who fell. I didn't care much about that, knowing that he would only have bruises and not wounds. I watched him from the balcony connected to my room. He treated him with respect and even ordered a first aid treatment. I hated the fact that I was accepting the new version of Kieran. It looked so unreal to me. Maybe he was planning it all to get information from me and give it to his wicked father, Lord Blackwood. I know even if it hurts, you did your best. It hurts to pour out feelings that you tried hiding. The outburst was really painful. Helena tried making me feel better. I'll like to be left alone. This isn't a good time for conversations. I just needed time alone with myself. Trying to sort out my thoughts, program myself for the future. I'll be here whenever you need me, Helena said in a low voice. I laid on my bed, flooding thoughts in my head. The door of my room flung open. You don't have to do this to yourself, Kieran sobbed. Leave me alone. I can't leave you in this state. You're slowly becoming a shadow of yourself and it really pains me to see you in this condition, not to mention leaving you, Kieran sobbed, holding the doorknob firmly. You never cared for me, you used me as your doll. Made me look like a foolish. I should have rejected you when I had the chance. Don't say things like this. Kieran pleaded with tears in his eyes. A day earlier filled with surprises turns out to be filled with tears. Just go, let me be, I said faintly. My vision became blurry. I fainted hearing the voices of my name. Lila, Lila, are you there? I was really stressed out, tired from all the things I couldn't control. I had little sleep and more work. I do almost everything in the house despite the fact that there are also 4 other maidservants. It's mere wickedness. My eyelids opened up a bit, staring at the long lights. I knew that I was in a hospital. Tilting my head to the left, there Kieran sat like someone who was about to lose his mother's life and didn't have a solution to it at that moment. You're weak. You need to forget about all these troubles and try to face reality in order to plan your strategies for your enemies. I couldn't thank her enough. Her words made me realize the worth of my problems and that which was too heavy I discard, and the ones too light to carry I see possible solutions to it. Oh Lila, you're awake, don't ever do this again. I don't want to lose you to anything including death. I hated that I wasn't used to this manner of treatment. I even liked his old version where he reasoned like a man and had his words filled with a huge aura of self-confidence, self-respect and dignity. His words now are just filled with sadness, regret and pity, which is very childish to me. How are you, Lila? The doctor asked. I couldn't believe this. The doctor who conducted the blood transfusion hours ago was still the same doctor checking my health status now. He noticed the uncomfortable look mixed with embarrassment on my face. I told you pain relievers aren't good, especially when someone is going through an emotional meltdown. Those pain relievers just made the pain disappear for approximately 8 to 9 hours, he explained like a medical professor. I had to chip in into his explanation. My mind was getting more confused. Was I supposed to take those pain relievers at that time? He stared at me, exponentiating the moment before he continued his explanation. You should have eaten before taking that drug into your system. You're lucky that it didn't damage any of your vital organs. I'll give a sedative now. When you wake up everything would be flushed out and I suggest you do same to your mind and heart. Okay, I managed to say these words as I gasped, feeling a needle pierced through my skin to my vein. A liquid substance followed suit. Everything felt so heavy, I couldn't even raise my hands up. My eyelids closed for the second time in the pack hospital. My eyes opened again, after I felt someone shaking my bed vigorously. I was scared at first, thinking you wouldn't make it. He's such a fool to think that you'll die. Helena smirked a big one. And it saddens me that he's like this because of me, I retorted. It's better this way, at least you get to know your value and what you are worth to him, Helena conceded. You're not saying anything, Kieran whined with discontent. What did you want me to say? Now that I'm alive I survived and you can see that. So is there anything you want me to say in addition? I croaked, giving myself the credit that I could belittle this demon with my words. There's nothing much I want you to say. I just want you to fully recover. His words sounded like a plan to me and I could depict the whole situation in my mind. My full recovery would be accosted with more insults and more pain. I nagged, you want me to fully recover so that you can and your family can double their wickedness towards me. He held my right palm, massaging it with his two palms. He stared into my eyes. I could see the truth within them, but I feared the adverse effects of a second betrayal, a second heartbreak, or even a second broken trust. No one would harm you as long as I live. Firstly, your activities in my house would be reduced to a minimum. My smile widened, listening to his promises. I felt his seriousness through his palms. He meant everything he was saying, the thought of his family who's opposite of what he's saying. I chimed in with happiness in my words. If you mean everything you said, what will you do about your family? My family can never be a problem, but if they tend to be, we'll buy a new house and live there. He held my palm, planting a soft kiss on my palm. I couldn't understand what made Kieran change his character and behavior towards me. He wants to even go against his family because of me. Don't go against your family, at least not now. We'll live with them in that house, but you'll promise to be there to save me from any outburst, I retorted hastily, making him feel like I've forgiven him. I don't want him to destroy my plans now that I'm past half of it. The plan to win over the crown. The ultimate plan of my life. I can let him make me lose and let those killers get away after committing heinous crimes. I promise that nothing bad will ever happen to you. Change is the only thing constant in life, I chimed in, raising my upper body, hugging him so tight and feeling so good about it. He's truly changed and I truly believe him, but still has a doubt in all this. Helena shrugged. No doubts, and I know that. He's changing and I can feel it, I conceded to Helena's words. Tears flowed down my eyes. I couldn't hold them down because it was really what mortals would call tears of joy. He also had tears in his eyes. He was so happy. I really wanted to forgive him, but yet the fears engulfed me. Kieran walked out of the ward to meet with the doctor, maybe to discuss what happens to me next. I really took the doctor's advice, just as my system got flushed. I also flushed out my emotions of hatred, heartbreak, and irrelevant thoughts of fear. Helena understood the plight I was in, so she made a suggestion which I didn't think twice about. I loved it. I know what to do. Let's put him through series of tests so that he can prove his innocence. This would be fun. I agreed to Helena's suggestion. Plans flooded my head, but I didn't want to access them, at least not here in the hospital. I'll do that when I get home. Kieran walked in with the doctor, who was holding a tray in his hands. That scared me a little, but Kieran tilted his head upwards and down, encouraging me that everything's going to be fine. I accepted that fact without fault. He filled me with courage. The doctor took off the white towel he used to cover the tray. 3 injections neatly placed. I closed my eyes, the doctor advised, laughing hysterically. Don't be scared. Kieran told me that you hated hospitals, so I should do everything in my power to discharge you today. So these 3 injections you see all have a purpose. All right, I responded in a very faint voice. She injected the first one, explaining this is to boost your immune system against drugs you aren't supposed to take. She continued, injecting the second one, which made me shiver, sending cold chills around my body. This is for you body strength, so that you'll be able to know when something is far heavy for you to carry. This last one will go a long way in stabilizing your thinking and preventing emotional disorder. The doctor sighed, relieved that I was patient enough to accept it all. Can you stretch your arms? Kieran chimed in out of anxiety after watching the doctor carry out his operations. He hated injections all his life. People like him would prefer a year with drugs to a day with injections. I stood up from the bed, dressed in patient wears. I stretched my arms, feeling so fresh that I could feel the blood running through my veins. "Thank you, doctor." She's hale and hearty. Kieran appreciated the doctor even hugging her in the process. I could see the surprised look on her face as she adjusted her glasses that Kieran almost took off when hugging her. "Can you give me privacy to undress? What are you hiding?" This question was quite a funny one after all what he just said was true. He had seen me more times than I could count, so what more can I be hiding? I pulled off the medical wears and picked out the clothes. Kieran stopped me from wearing the jeans. "I got you this." He handed over a small bag to me, a red dress and a matching black shoe. The dress looked so beautiful and too slutty to wear, but I loved it. The shoes were also lovely. It seems there's an occasion I'll be attending with him. I turned to ask him what we're celebrating. Kieran wasn't there. He left a written note on the desk. "Meet me downstairs. I'll be waiting for you, and don't keep me waiting." I stared down at myself through the mirror, realizing how beautiful I was before my father was killed. Hoping that this wasn't all just a fairy tale ending in a tragic way. I want my fairy tale to end happily ever after. This is my happy ever after, and I would enjoy it to the fullest, notwithstanding the main aim of my life. The goal I tend to achieve. I began to wonder while I was wearing the necklace. What would be Kieran's fate when he finds out that his father is the criminal and mastermind of the crown and the sole discoverer of the serum? Can't wait to watch what would happen. He may choose his family over me, or maybe the other way around. No negative thoughts for now, I encouraged myself as I sternly wore the black hat, being the final piece of the whole outfit. I walked downstairs, everyone drooling over me, making hoo and damn sounds. I just ignored everyone and headed outside to meet my love Kieran. He was dressed in a black tuxedo suit, his broad chest in view. I guessed he didn't like the shirt he was supposed to wear. His leather shoe was a bit too shiny, revealing the amount of gold used in making the shoe. We got into the Lamborghini Aventador SUV. I admired the interior designs. It made me look less deserving of all this treatment. My father was rich, which was when I was little and I wasn't used to the expensive car rides and expensive clothes, but at this point I loved it and even wanted more. Guess it's age that changed. Kieran noticed my uneasy movements in the car, staring through the window and staring back at the interior decor of the Jeep. He called me to caution. "Why the sudden stares and looks?" Tell him the truth." Helena chimed in and I agreed. The truth is that I wasn't used to this treatment back in the days, but I now find myself loving every bit of this, I confessed, twitching my fingers like a child. "I know it's not your type of thing. Hey, if you don't like it I could stop and we'll live our normal lives," he conceded, holding my left hand that he placed on his lap. My head sprang up and I bent over my head and we kissed. Love first kiss. The kiss felt so new and genuine, like I never knew Kieran. I guess it's because this is our first kiss, staying on the same page and actually acting as one and not two. Looking around, I wasn't even aware of where we're going or whose occasion we were attending. I asked him, filled with curiosity. "We've been riding for minutes now, where are we going?" "Wait, are you scared?" "You can't be, wherever am I no harm can befall you, and as for where we're going you'll see," he smirked. Trying to understand why he wasn't like this when we first met. Well, I needed this more than ever. He's so engrossed with me that he can't count how many promises he's made to me, I muttered to myself, with a wide smile on my face. The car alighted close to a mountain, a short one at that. I remembered this place. This was where my father lived before he bought a new house uptown. He loved this house. This is where I practically lived the life of my childhood. I released my hands from Kieran's grip and ran towards the stone where my father was buried. Tears rolled down my eyes as I softly touched the stone, clearing off the dirt on it. The flowers were all dead. I forgot my responsibility. I usually bring flowers every week to my father's grave. It was past midnight, staring at the full moon. I just couldn't hold it anyone. I howled in a mild tone, letting my wolf out. Kieran howled too, letting his wolf out. It felt so good leaving my mortal body. It's been a while, Helena affirmed, howling again. I watched Kieran walk close to me. What's your name? Jack. That's cool, Kieran. I'll race you to the mountain over there. I made a deal, with the feeling of actualizing the speed at which I could run. That's never possible. I'll beat you to it, Kieran grinned, digging his paws to the ground. I screamed 3-2. He smirked. 1. I continued the countdown, then one stare at him, we both screamed go. The race began. It was a fierce one, running through trees and shrubs and even harmful plants. We're gonna win this, Helena bragged. Not exactly, Jack disagreed. We all surely made it out of the fierce forest. Kieran slowed down a little. I couldn't wait. I reached the top of the short mountain. He followed suit slowly as he could. Wondering why he was making that slow movement. He laid down exhausted. He turned back to human, groaning in pain. I turned human, rushed to see why he was groaning. He was wounded. The wound was spreading around his body. I quickly ran to the telephone my father used to alert me to anything he couldn't hunt. I'll be the lookout monitoring the wounded animal. I called Dmitri, not being a good describer. I said in a low voice, please come, Kieran's hurt. What really happened? He asked in a low voice. I don't know, the wound is spreading fast, I said, leaving the telephone when I heard Kieran's groans getting louder. Hold on there, someone's coming to get us. Kieran groaned again. I felt scared that he might die. I howled for help. Kieran's eyes closed, he was dying. I tried working some herbs, but when I placed it on his wounds, rejected it. I howled again, giving up on myself. I held his head on my lap and howled the last time, returning to my human body. Crying profusely that he was going to die. I heard rustling sounds of a truck probably. It came to a halt close to the mountain. Lila, Lila, Dmitri said as he ran to where I was crying my life out. You may like des moments insolites avec Brigitte Macron films par un camera. Her beauty la vérité sur le cholestérol et les vices sanguines Santa Cor Esprit Bébé Cambridge. La vérité sur la quatrième grossesse de Kate. Her beauty 10 photos qui prouvent avoir un fille est vraiment croquant. Her beauty. How would you cry when you have the solution to his wounds? These words made me annoyed. He probably didn't know that I had tried all I could, but it proved fruitless. I curiously asked, what's the solution? I've tried all I could. Guess this is how he dies. He looked at me in disappointment. He checked Kieran's nostrils. He was happy that Kieran was still breathing. He divulged, you're mistaken. I've told you, when you see a wound that can't be cured with herbs, that means it's a wound caused by serum and only my blood can be the antidote. I chimed in. How come I forgot about this? My new resurrected love overcrowded my memories. I quickly cut my wrist with the knife Dmitri gave to me, dropping quite the amount of blood that went through his wound. His whole body vibrated fiercely, he groaned in pain. Dmitri held me back and hugged me, turning my head away from seeing what happened to Kieran. Kieran's last groan was in a low tone, and that made me turn and look at him in fear and anticipation, hoping it cured him. Kieran, Kieran, Kieran. He raised his head and placed it down again. Blood drooled out of his mouth for minutes. He's going to be fine. It worked. He's vomiting the serum out of his body. These words of Dmitri gave me a deep sigh of relief. I sighed as Kieran coughed, raising his lower body up. What happened? I'll tell you what happened. You were either shot with a bullet filled with serum or you stumbled upon a great amount of serum while I was running. Someone shot me cause I felt the impact of a bullet, but it seemed the bullet rolled out of my body before I climbed up here. You're lucky. Lila here saved you, he croaked. I knew it was a bit tasking letting Dmitri watch me kiss Kieran. So I didn't do that, I just hugged him. Thank you so much, Lila. He appreciated me, his tears rolling down my shoulders. I'll take my leave now. Dmitri picked up his knife. I knew he didn't like Kieran's ill treatment of me, but I didn't know how to tell him that Kieran had changed. He was now loving, caring and supportive, which is a good backbone of my plans. Can you drive us through the woods? I croaked. He stared at me for a moment. I tried to convince him with my eyes. Fine, don't keep me waiting, Dmitri conceded, feeling weird about it. Kieran's wound had healed completely, he didn't even notice it. It's healed completely. The wound is gone, I smirked. Kieran placed his hands on the former opened wound. He was surprised that it healed and his skin was even replaced. He immediately carried me and said to me, stay on my back. I'll take you down this mountain. I laughed, knowing that I had gained a couple of weight in recent weeks, eating healthy food and having enough time to rest. I wasn't eligible or have that time in Lord Blackwood's house. Sometimes food becomes a prize we get after working more than our bodies. I remembered this truck. I remembered my father drove this kind of truck. This truck was used to carry herbs and shrubs. Dmitri replied, turning on the engine. The drive was a short one, filled with silence. Kieran doesn't hate Dmitri, but he has the pride to apologize to him on behalf of his father's sins. Thank you, Dmitri. Kieran appreciated him for everything he just did. He realized that if Dmitri truly loved Lila, he would have left him to die. Take care of her, nothing should happen to her, Dmitri warned as he drove off. Kieran watched him till he was out of sight. Kieran's driver was waiting for them. Kieran stared at him. I've relieved you of your duties for today. Go home and take care of yourself. Thank you, sir. The driver knelt down and handed over the key to Kieran. It made me laugh. He was truly a comedian. He used to crack jokes when I lived as a maid. Let's go. Come on, Kieran, the party's not yet over. Let's go and dance. I can't, it's a big function, many enemies in one place is disastrous. You may get injected with serum, which would be to the detriment of us, so let's get going before those assassins realize they got the wrong person. Kieran contended as he opened the door for me to get in. I understood what he was saying, but hating that no one gets to see me in my dress. Kieran drove very fast, no wonder his father never allowed him to drive. He dodged cars like boxes. Kieran, please slow down, no one's pursuing us, I cautioned, being scared of car accidents. I closed my eyes because the more I see the speed in which cars pass back down, I get more scared. Someone's trailing us, Kieran screamed, staring into his rear mirror. What do you mean? I asked. In fear I rushed to the front seat. I crossed my hands, staring back. I knew it. The Crown's assassins must have gotten the information they wanted from the driver. I just hoped they didn't kill him. I couldn't ask for anything more than Kieran's speed. Please go faster. Kieran was surprised that I wanted him to increase his speed, which I just complained about a few minutes ago. He said this in grand style. Buckle your seatbelts, this is gonna be the best ride you'll have. I buckled my seatbelts and closed my eyes, shivering unnecessarily. Kieran touched my thighs and assured me it's going to be fine. Don't be scared, and I need to trust me. I trust you, Kieran. Kieran outsmarted the Crown's assassins and we parked into a small place. This place is old and resembles a warehouse, I divulged. You're right, this was once a warehouse, once filled with the pack's food. When the Crown started plotting plans, They took out the warehouse in order to make the people succumb, which they did, but those stubborn ones paid with their lives. Kieran hissed as he walked to a door in the far end. He opened the door and opened his mouth in agape. I walked to see what made him startle. The room was occupied with guns and bullets filled with serum. I became scared, this time scared about what would happen if the crown comes to my village with these weapons. They wouldn't stand a chance in the fight. What do we do now? I asked in fear and curiosity, hoping that Kieran would come up with a befitting idea. I don't really know what's going on, but I can't just fold my hands and do nothing about this. His words were not in line with what I had in mind. Take it out of here, Helena suggested. Two ideas struck my mind like lightning, so I said out of happiness. Let's take it out of here, or we just lit the whole place up. We don't have what to use to carry all of these things, Kieran retorted, making my idea so hard to achieve. Yes, yes, yes. My phone, where's my phone? I need to call Dmitri, we'll make good use of his truck now, I said as I clasped my hands together, giggling. Oh, that's good, and tell him also to come with ride. We need more hands to pack weapons we'll need in the future. Kieran added as he rushed to the car to get my phone. Lila, what's going on now? Were you attacked again? Dmitri smirked. How would you wish me that kind of evil? I uttered indistinctly. It seems you're familiar with the word attack. Dmitri laughed hysterically. Dmitri mocked me. Was I really familiar with the word attack? We need you, your truck and ride. Please carry Lily along with you to avoid unaccompanied troubles. I beckoned him, knowing fully well if this mission was a success, the Crown would find any possible means to nail us down, and I wouldn't want Lily to be used as bait. I would give up anything to get Lily because I made a promise to her mother and I intend to keep it. Send your location, we'll be there in 5 minutes. Dmitri hung up. I quickly sent him a text describing our location, also warning them about the Crown assassins. He has a point, you know. You're really familiar with the word, Kieran chuckled. It sounded funny to me, because I was ready for all this, the day I vowed to put an end to the Crown and all its atrocities. I don't make promises, but if I do make a promise I make sure it's fulfilled even if it takes something away from me. I sat on a stone while Kieran sat close to the window. He's the lookout, checking out the Crown assassins and also for Dmitri's truck. He's coming. But I fear they might be trailing him. Call him, don't let him lead them to us, Kieran warned as he entered the room bringing out 2 loaded guns, tossing one to me, which I caught with my foot, joggled it to my right hand. He wasn't the one that answered the call. Not now, Lila Ride screamed. You never told me that we would be driving away from legions of the Crown assassins, Dmitri retorted. We're almost out of power, Lily screamed. Why would Lily be the one announcing the level of their power? What was she doing? Hey, what's Lily doing? Get us more power and firearms. I wouldn't be wounded twice in a week, Ride warned and hung up. Can we get something bigger? I asked in a mild tone. Kieran being a master of weapons, he knew the right weapons we'll be needing. He placed 2 loaded machine guns in the back seat of the Jeep. He mounted one on the roof of the car. 3 loaded guns in the trunk. You'll be the driver for now. Can you handle this? He fretted indistinctly. I'll handle it, I affirmed, despite the fact I haven't been on the wheels of a car in a very long time. Knowing the basics of driving was all I needed now. I remembered my father's lessons. Always remember this. The clutch determines your speed, the brake stops your speed, the steering controls your directions. I turned on the engine, pressing the clutch too fast made me almost hit the wall as I applied the brake immediately. I savored the moment, allowing my father's words to sink into my mind. I drove out too fast and I hit a big stone that almost made me turn the car upside down. But I turned it back down, which made Kieran scream, "Keep your eyes open on the road and stop driving like a drunk old woman. Let me be, I got this, and make sure you make those assassins pay dearly with their lives," I retorted, keeping my hands firmly on the steering wheel. We waited on a T-junction for Dimitri's truck to pass by, Kieran ready with his machine gun. "They will be passing us in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Lila now." I applied the clutch with all the force left in my bones, knocking the first SUV filled with the Crown assassins off the road. "Get down," Kieran divulged. Only the rattling sounds of firing bullets, the howls of dead assassins, and the shaking sounds of the empty bullets covering the ground. I got out of the car, bending slightly under the window. "Where are you going?" Dimitri asked, holding me back. I hugged him in fear, not knowing how long this gunfight would last. "3 guns are in the trunk, and they're loaded. Be careful out there. Take this shotgun, it's loaded. Go to Lily, let us men handle this," Dimitri boldly divulged. Dimitri got into the back seat, removing one machine gun. He held it in his hands, and screamed to the death of the Crown. The bullets sprayed like water, killing multiple assassins. That was my only opportunity to get to the truck, and I took it wholeheartedly and ran. Ride held Lily in his arms, protecting her and probably waiting for me. "Thank goodness you're here. Now I get to kill some murderers." Ride loved killing the Crown assassins. He had a thin line he imprinted on himself anytime he killed one of them. The last time someone counted it, it was over 100 kills. "Be careful, Ride," I cautioned. "Always just that few times someone could go careless to prove a point," Ride replied as he got out of the truck, yelling, "A time to heal and a time to kill. I've healed, now it's time to kill." Lily couldn't help but yell at me for not letting go and fight. "They need help." "We've got to help them." "What do you mean?" I fretted, wondering why she would be suggesting going into a gunfight without guns. "We have a truck. A truck that can hit anything in its way. Nothing can even stand in its way, let's use it." I was so ashamed of myself, not that I couldn't fight them, but because I didn't want anything happening to Lily, and yet she doesn't understand this. She's just like her mother, going into war without dictation. "Okay, then I'll go and help them, but you'll stay here while I drive." "Fine," she shrugged. I turned the truck around, putting all the tension and pressure on the clutch. "Incoming!" I screamed. Ride laid straight. As we passed him, at first I thought I ran over him. "He's all right," Lily affirmed, watching Ride stand to his feet. We continued knocking down cars, clearing the road, I guess, until the back door flung open. Someone had entered the truck. I stopped the truck. He was about to bite Lily when I shot it straight in the head. Lily pushed it out of the truck. Lily stained her hands with blood. She loved it. "My mother once said to laugh when you spill the blood of your enemies. When they're gone you have peace." She laughed hysterically. What did Madame Vaughn teach her daughter? The best ethics a killer of a mother would teach her daughter. Helena conceded to her words. Another animal entered the truck. This time around, Lily removed the pin of a bomb and shoved it inside its mouth, pushing it out of the truck. "Let's go," I turned on, pressing the clutch in fear. We only drove a bit far before the bomb exploded. We picked everyone one after the other. Everyone got into the truck, all panting and gasping for breath. "What a battle," Dimitri said, cleaning pieces of blood-soaked flesh off his face. "They're still following us," Kieran warned, trying to shoot. His gun was empty. "Wait till you see what I got stored for these folks. The same way they killed my parents." Ride laughed, pulling out a small box. 10 keys were placed on keyholes inside the box. I stopped the truck and got to the back of the truck where everyone was seated. "It seems you're out of fuel. Surrender now when you still have the chance." There's no place to hide, a voice echoed. Ride stared at everyone's questioning face. These keys each represent a bomb I placed around. So everyone hold 2 keys. At my third count you turn it to your left. Okay, everyone chorused, including me. Ride continued. 3, 2, 1, do it. Everyone turned his keys to the left, the sounds became louder and louder. I covered my ears with my hands, just as everyone did excluding Ride. He was used to this type of sound, so to him it's music. Let's go, Ride announced. Dmitri, I've had enough time to drive, just drive. I could drive, Kieran chimed in. No one drives my truck except special persons, Dmitri retorted, as he got down from the back of the truck, watching the clustering of dead meat. Since we became friends I haven't touched that steering wheel you see there. Ride smirked. Kieran now understood why Dmitri used the word special persons. We can't go back to the house. They would be searching for us everywhere. Dmitri understood the ploy we were all in. We killed hundreds of the crown assassins. They would have placed a bounty on our heads by now. Where do we go? I concurred. We'll go to my aunt's place. Just give her some cash, she'll let us in, Ride explained, mocking his aunt's enormous love for money. Dmitri drove to the house Ride talked about. It was old and shabby on the outside. I began to wonder why we would be paying money to go into the house. Auntie, it's Ride. Ride smirked as he hugged his aunt. You stink, I've told you many times when you don't have meat, collect from me. Call me, stop hunting. If you keep hunting like this animals would run away, his aunt advised. Are they all passing the night here? His mother asked after monitoring the looks on our faces. That'll be 8,000, here's 6,000, give you the balance when we leave, Ride said as he gave her the money. Why would she collect 8,000 for this old and shabby house? I realized the worth of the money she collected when we got in. I was shocked to my bones seeing the expensive qualities the house had on the inside. Kieran called out, attention. Okay, then I'll be leaving with Lila. We need a new car and new clothes to cover up this mess. Lord Blackwood's suspicion would be reduced when he sees us. Kieran suggested. I carried Lily and placed in a small bed where she continued her slumber. Thanks for your help, Dmitri. I hugged him and kissed him on his cheeks, felt like it was the only way to appreciate him. Ride expected a kiss on his cheeks, but I planted a soft kiss on his forehead. Bye. Call us when you meet legions again, Ride croaked. What's legions? His aunt chimed in. I couldn't wait to hear Ride's response. He would definitely tell her another lie. How do we get out of here? I shivered, feeling the effects of the cold weather. I need a new Lamborghini Aventador SUV, exactly the same one you gave to me. I'll send you my location, and lest I forget, get me a black tuxedo suit, red dress, a matching slippers and a black hat. Okay. I'll be there in 10 minutes. We've got 10 minutes to walk far from here. I don't want my father to find any trace of this incident. I know he'll blame it on another pack. We walked for a while. Kieran carried me on his back. I was stressed out. Driving a SUV and a truck all in one day was a big task that made me look worn out and tired. Finally, Kieran's Lamborghini Aventador SUV arrived. Sir, here's the keys and here's what you asked for. A man handed over the keys and a big bag to Kieran. He couldn't see the blood stains on our clothes, and that was a good omen for me. I don't want anyone discovering about the incident, at least not now. When the morning sun is out, Lord Blackwood would get a better view of what happened. Thank you, I'll see you later then. Kieran opted for a handshake, which he quickly obliged. I guess so, he affirmed. I noticed a very weird look on his face. He was definitely wondering why Kieran asked for all these items by this odd hour of the night. Don't be concerned about his looks. He's lost in thoughts. Only if he knew what we just endured in the hands of those monsters. Kieran retorted, turning on the car as we drove off. I couldn't see myself changing into a new cloth with a blood-stained body. It would be so uncomfortable and very unclean for me. Where do we change before going to your father's house? I don't know, what do you have in mind? Kieran's rhetorical questions marveled me. How would he explain the blood dirt on his body? I guess men and their level of accepting facts about certain things that change is evident. We wash our bodies in a river down that road, I suggested, hoping he would accept it. That's a nice idea, but we've got to be at home before the sun comes up, Kieran warned. I could feel the tension in his words. He was bent on keeping his father's wish of not staying out late from home. We parked near a small forest, a forest where the river was in the middle and had many tributaries, which made me wonder why the river never runs dry. We walked through the forest, Kieran holding the bag in his hands, admiring the beautiful trees. The view of the river was beautiful, its blue color could be seen miles away. Always engulfed in curiosity meeting new discoveries. I asked, why can't this river run dry? As I can see it clearly, it has many pathways. So there's a massive reduction of water. Have you noticed why your hair in your head, no matter how you cut it, still grows? Apply the same practical example to this river, you'll get your answers fine. But Kieran chimed in a serious tone, let's do what we want and go back where we belong before we become targets. He removed his clothes, his skin glowing in the most charming way possible. I took off my clothes too, walking into the river sheepishly. Kieran pulled me into the river, making me swallow an undesirable amount of water. The water was so cold, I shivered aggressively. Kieran caught hold of me and whispered, can I bathe you? I agreed instantly, feeling better, relaxing in his arms and resting in between my cheeks. He cupped water in his hands, letting the water flow in between my breasts. I knew what he wanted, that was the reason he wanted us going home early. We'll have enough time to get entangled in each other. It seems he made a choice and I wouldn't be the one to oppose it. I turned around, staring into his lust-filled eyes. He couldn't help but grab my cheeks, pulling me closer to him. He kissed me and said, why don't we get to our ride first? He really wants to me inside his Lamborghini Aventador SUV. Very despicable, I thought to myself as I walked out of the car. I wore the new dress, avoiding my undies, realizing that I wouldn't want to stress Cyrus more than he is already. He stood, leaning on the car. Get on your knees. He ordered. It became louder and more intense that I felt someone would hear us. This road's deserted, Kieran smirked, slapping my cheeks twice. He flipped me over, staring down into my tearful eyes. We rested our heads on the wheels of the car, trying to regain our strength. Minutes passed by, the wristwatch Kieran wore beeped. It's 2:30 a.m. 30 minutes before Lord Blackwood goes on his inspections. Let's go, I conceded as I stood in a hurry getting into the car. Kieran drove like a maniac, hoping that he would arrive on time. We stopped at the gate. We've got 10 minutes left. The gate was locked. I remembered some lessons I learned from Ride, the king of locks. I quietly opened the gates without alerting the attention of the guards on duty, who were already fast asleep. Kieran turned off the lights and turned off his engine, but still held on to the gear, making the car move without ignition. He parked it in the parking lot. 2 minutes left, Kieran warned. Bye, I whispered, kissing him. He tiptoed into the main building, while I tiptoed to the building meant for workers. I got into my room, leaving the door slightly opened. I quickly changed my clothes into my maid uniform. Minutes passed by. I already concluded that Lord Blackwood wasn't doing the inspection. I heard footsteps, the footsteps getting closer to my room. I closed my eyes firmly. I could feel Lord Blackwood's breath very close to my face. He was probably waiting for me to open my eyes, which I couldn't. She's asleep, sir, an indistinct voice spoke. Let's go to the next room, but Kieran normally parks his car in the second parking lot, so why would he change? Lord Blackwood retorted. Maybe he just felt like doing so. He's changing of late, an indistinct voice replied in an unruly manner. Must you remind me of that? Lord Blackwood gave him a hard blow which was followed by the indistinct voice grunting in pain. I let out a sigh, relieved that he had left my room in peace, even closing my door in the process. I stood up and watched them from the window. I knew that indistinct voice belonged to Lord Blackwood's assistant. My phone beeped. It was a message from Dimitri. I read thus: "Hey, hope you're safe?" "Yeah, we're safe. How about you three?" I asked him, thinking of a million things that could happen to them. "We're good, just that Ride has been telling his aunt lies, which is making her ask numerous questions." Dimitri sent his reply. It felt a bit funny listening to Ride's lies, but he's doing it trying to protect us. "Okay, that's good, catch some sleep," I said as I turned off my phone. I pulled the sheets over my head, feeling fulfilled that I was getting closer to the main aim of my existence, which was to stop the Crown and make them pay for their atrocities. The morning sun was quite the change for me. I felt so energetic despite having a 4-hour sleep. I cleaned myself up, brushing my teeth and having a quiet bath where I did things myself. I dressed up in my uniform, hiding the red dress in one of my boxes. I wouldn't want to be a part of a scene where someone would walk into my room and interrogate me on the ways I used to own an expensive dress. I was ordered to wash the plates used for dinner, and according to the words of the guards, they had an occasion. Calculating the numbers of plates that I would wash, Riley called my name in a very rude manner: "Lila." "Lila." I quickly walked up the stairs to meet her at the balcony. "Lila, I need you in my room immediately." I disagreed her order and explained, "Sorry ma'am, but I have my orders and I don't intend to break them. Are you sick?" she uttered in a loud voice. "Isn't it too early for your nagging attitude, Riley?" Kieran chimed in, blinking his left eye. Riley couldn't hold herself watching Kieran defend me from her. She sprang up saying, "Stay out of this, Kieran, and besides I need her services, even when my father needs her services," Kieran retorted. "She didn't say a word about that," Riley exclaimed in a soft manner. "Now I've said the words on her behalf. Let her go, there are many servants free of duty." "Use them as you please," Kieran advised. Riley shrugged, storming away, almost knocking Kieran off his feet. "Thank you, I appreciated him. I promised you I'll always be there to save you. Just stay out of trouble," Kieran smirked. "My father said you should serve tea," he added, pursing my lips with his fingers. It refreshed memories of last night's lovemaking. "Here's the tea," a maid directed me. I carried the jug of tea carefully to the dining where Lord Blackwood was discussing with his family, including Riley. He knew that Riley wasn't meant for his son Kieran. I wondered what importance was her presence to Lord Blackwood. I served tea to everyone. Kieran was the last person I served. I forgot the tray I used in holding the jug. I saw Shane's right leg. I stomped on her foot in anger. She gasped in pain. "What's wrong, Shane?" Lord Blackwood inquired, noticing the sudden look on her face. It's just a migraine, I'll get over it," Shane replied, squirming in pain. "Can I be excused?" Shane asked, clenching her fists on the table. "Father, remember your rules, no one leaves the table until we're all done eating," Kieran chimed in. "Shane, sit back and finish your food, Father," Shane retorted. "Sit down and eat your food," Lord Blackwood ordered. Kieran saved me again, he really meant his words. "I love you, Kieran," I muttered to myself, walking down the hallway with the tray in my hands. "Take this sauce to the table," a maid ordered me. I quickly obeyed, knowing fully well that I hadn't seen Lord Blackwood's reactions when he heard what happened to his warehouse. I placed the sauce-filled pot in the middle of the table. "Come on, don't you know the protocols? I receive calls by 8:00 am. Lord Blackwood asked the caller on his phone. What's wrong, father? Kieran asked, staring at the sudden change of mood of his father. Someone blew up my warehouse and killed my men. Father, I told you many times you tell many things to people you think you trust. Your P.A. is definitely the one behind this, Kieran suggested, winked at me. I giggled and walked out of the house to my room. I picked up my phone and sent Dimitri a text. Lord Blackwood knows about last night. We are his first suspects, right? Dimitri asked. I knew his heart raced now. No. Kieran made his father suspect his PA and I think his father is going to accept it, I replied, trying to cool down his fear. What makes you so sure that Kieran wouldn't ditch us? I knew he hated Kieran from the start of this plan. The moon goddess chose him as my mate and there's nothing I can do than to love and trust him. He won't. I trust him and he's on our side now, I conceded to my thoughts. Okay. Finally we can go far from Ride and his interrogator as an ant. This showed that Dimitri was tired of Ride's aunt. I wondered what would have happened if they stayed for a month or more. Bye, I'll call you later, I quickly wrote the text, voices echoing my name. I'm in deep trouble, I thought to myself. I hid the phone inside my pillow as I heard footsteps approaching my room in a very fast manner. What are you doing here? I called your wretched name many times but you just refused to listen. You pathetic slave, Shane asked, landing 2 hatred-filled slaps on my cheeks. Why are you acting like a child? Stand up and face these weak morons, Helena advised. Take a look at this low-life star. You're employed to perform certain tasks and you're here resting. Riley chimed, adding her own slaps on my cheeks. Tears rolled down my eyes, filled with rage so evident that Shane could feel it. She kicked me hard on my chest. Groaning in pain, Riley raised my box and tossed it over to the wall, which made it burst open, revealing all the clothes including the red dress I tried to hide. Wow, this whore now steals. Shane smirked. A beautiful whore now becomes theirs. Adding another to her accolades. Who knows what else she has up her? Riley, I remembered my father giving you a task to handle. Have you done it? Kieran chimed in. Finally my savior had come, wished he had arrived earlier. Shane, you're supposed to be attending a function with your father. Why are you here causing trouble to a poor maid? Don't you have sympathy? Kieran asked, pushing her aside. He raised me up to sit on the bed. He cuddled me in his arms. Riley's eyes grew red in anger. She hissed and stormed out of my room. Shane stood staring at Kieran in disgust and hatred, wondering why he's now protecting me. Run along. Your friend's waiting for you. You two are just pathetic. She said as she spat on the floor. I'm really sorry I didn't come in time to stop them. Did they hurt you? Kieran apologized as he checked my body for signs of wounds. You should have arrived earlier. 4 slaps and a heavy kick to my chest, I retorted. That ingrate, Kieran uttered, standing up in rage, but I held him back, knowing fully well that Kieran would cause more harm than good and that may jeopardize my plans. Let them be. I'm okay, it's not like they attacked me on purpose. They're just performing the works of jealousy and hatred, I said sarcastically. Kieran planted a soft kiss on my forehead. I felt relaxed in his arms. Finally I get to live a better life in this hell, I muttered, feeling satisfied with the moon goddess for choosing Kieran as my mate. What's your father's response concerning what you told him about last night's incident? I inquired, making sure the tables had turned in my favor. He had issues with his assistant, although he still walks with him. My father sees him differently and giving him that story would spice things up, Kieran explained with a big grin on his face. Can't wait to watch the drama unfold, I laughed hysterically, wondering what would happen when the war begins. I'll be leaving now, got issues to sort out, Kieran deplored. Stay with me, I beckoned, trying to make him stay, but he had a serious look on his face which weakened me. Just go, I'll come see you later, I uttered, regretting his sudden absence. I arranged my clothes into my box, including the red dress. I hid the red dress in a way that even if the box falls it won't be visible. I deleted all the text messages I sent to Dmitri, with the feeling that someone knows about my phone. I sent Dmitri a decoded message LPXP. It meant Lord Blackwood would turn over his personal assistant, which would mean war between both of them.